Welcome, Ron sir and Billy sir. Welcome to ETimes. I'm going to start with 13 Lives. It's a beautiful story on the power of selflessness. I want to know from each of you, how important do you think stories like these can be, particularly, and what drew you to making a film on the rescue?
Well, I felt like it was a very interesting contemporary movie story. I felt like there were a lot of details to show that could be very cinematic, very emotional and suspenseful. And there was much more to be shared than had even been covered in various documentaries and news stories. But underneath it all, I felt like it was a story for today because it's a story about people putting aside their selfishness, their personal needs, and taking huge risks just for the simple possibility that they could make a difference and help save even one life, let alone 13 lives. And I felt like it's great that we all know this really happened. So this isn't fiction. It's possible. It's an object lesson. These people, these thousands of people who came together to make this happen, they've proven it to us. I wanted to share it, and I hope others continue to share it over and over again. It's an important story for humanity.
What about you, Billy, sir?
I agree with Ron that it is showing the best of us in this time, because at the time of pandemic, I think we should connect to each other much more than before. We need to try to do that. And what we are showing in this film is not only the international rescue mission, but also the effort of the local people that they are trying to sacrifice to help the boy. Like if you are watching the film, you will see the scene of the volunteer coming from the village around and the farmers who sacrifice their rice field just to increase the percentage of the boys. So I think from what we can learn from this film is that regardless of culture and regardless of nation, if we have a high spirit, we can make something miraculous happen together.
You know, Ron, sir, you have created films like Da Vinci Code and Inferno, and 13 Lives felt so different since it was shot in a very confined space. Were there challenges?
Well, yes, there were many, many challenges in making this movie, including trying to convey Thai culture in a very authentic way. But I also felt that on a cinematic level, the claustrophobia, the intensity of the caves was very cinematic, and it was almost like a suspense story, or even going into a haunted house. I mean, there's something almost supernatural about those caves, and so I was actually excited about what that could mean for an audience. But then the other challenge for me was to make sure that the very important central aspect of the story, the Thai culture, felt authentic to the rest of the world. And I depended on collaborators like Billy and others and the actors to help achieve that.
You know, speaking of Thai culture, Billy, I was about to ask you about that because, you yourself are from Thailand and you made sure that the film stays authentic to its culture. You've also got the cast talk in Thai language. And how important was it for you?
It's one of the most important aspects of this film, because the story is set in the north of Thailand, which has the distinct culture than from the central Bangkok. Like normally when you talk about Thai culture, you might think about Thai food, or you may think about Thai boxing, Thai massage. But in the north area, it's like different thing. So, and in this film, we show the local area, the area full of villagers, which they has their own of culture. So that is something that we really focus on. The reason that we cast many casts as much as possible from the local area that speaking the dialect is just to implement this. And we brought in some of the boys who really from the regional area that talking in that dialect, just to make this possible. And we did the research on the spiritual belief. In Thailand, we have mainly three beliefs. First is Buddhism and Brahminism, and also animism. And in that area, it is much more about Buddhism, including animism. And we are showing that through the art design of our film.
You know, what do you remember feeling 4 years ago when this incident actually took place?
It was really like something that you can never miss in Thailand. Like everybody talk about this all the day long. And if you turn on the television, it always the TV scoop about this, like updating with every single minute of the operation. But I am sure that we are doing something different, because in this film, like Ron said, we are doing it in a cinematic way. This way, you are going to spend a lot of time with each character and go through each situation and each emotional stage with them. So I think you will have a lot of new taste about this story from watching this film.
You know, Ron, sir, Hollywood is diversifying and bringing talent and stories from all over the world and being inclusive too. Would you say it's a great time to be an actor, director in Hollywood?
I think creatively, it's a fantastic time. I think it's very difficult for business people because they're trying to understand what to invest in, what do audiences really want. And I think audiences are discovering for themselves, that there's a wider range of content, a wider range of stories from different parts of the world for them to discover and be excited about. So I think it's a great time for audiences. Fantastic time for creative people who want to grow, want to experiment, and a very difficult time for studios and platforms who are trying to keep up with technology, trying to keep up with audiences, and trying to keep up with a broadening kind of narrative culture. It's for them, it's not a challenge. But we had great support on this movie. And when I said I wanted such a great percentage of the film to be in Thai, they didn't challenge that at all. That was my creative decision. I wanted that authenticity. And the people who financed the film, all Americans, so forth, for 100% supportive. They recognized that authenticity was something that audiences all around the world would yearn for and expect.
Thank you so much for doing this with me. I had a great time chatting with you, and I'm really looking forward to more such real life incident films. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.